you can't patent something that's already been invented. But if it was invented by an alien, they don't fall under human law. So maybe you can't patent something. So maybe all these patents that Lockheed maybe has are in violation.
Today we'll ask the question, can you patent alien technology? Technology not made here on this earth. If you were to somehow get a hold of it and maybe invent something off of it, can you then patent it, right? What are the laws behind that? And are people doing it right now? Today I'm going to show you some clips from a Soul Foundation event. It took place in November. They started releasing videos about this. It includes Matthew Pines and Stanford Professor Dr. Garry Nolan. And they're going to be talking about this very question. All right, first clip. Take a look.
So I want to switch topics a little bit into law and ethics and the standards of evidence that are applied there. Now, this is not a courtroom, but courtroom evidence is very different than scientific evidence, is very different than your kind of evidence. But let's assume that there is some level of evidence or data there. How will you think this change the legal frameworks of, for instance, can you be accused of murdering an alien under human law, right? Can you patent alien technology? Because the premise of patents is that you can't patent something that's already been invented. But if it was invented by an alien, they don't fall under human law. So maybe you can't patent something. So maybe all these patents that Lockheed maybe has are in violation. Mm-hmm. So what is the standard of evidence you think that we need to talk to our legal friends, lawyers and or professors, that say, hey, maybe it's time to start thinking about this, even if it's just a thought exercise?
I agree with Dr. Garry Nolan. These are things that we have to consider. We have to consider the real-world implications of if this technology is real or one day becomes real, right? We have to start really thinking about how it's logistically going to work in our society if this type of technology exists, could exist, will exist, whatever, right? I think it's absolutely a great question. And let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think that this is possible? Now, let's hear from Matthew Pines explain it in a little bit different way of his thoughts around it and what exists in the law today, and are there any loopholes?
Yeah, this is obviously a very complicated question. I think about this is where the intersection between the scientific standards of evidence and scientific methodologies and our legal frameworks becomes very critical, because often in legal disputes it comes down to definitions, right? Does this particular object or dispute center on a definition that is clear and cogent and can be applied in the particular case? And I think the most relevant definitions here are the ones that were put forward in the UAP Disclosure Act as sort of definitions of non-human intelligence, definitions of biological materials, the definition of technologies of unknown origin. You can read those painstaking definitions. I think that will be where the crux of how you can apply those in our practical legal system. Is there a loophole there? Like how exactly, when you get down to it, do you try to describe these materials in a way that you can, bring it into the legal framework, right? You can actually say, we need you to register and or disclose all of those technologies of unknown origin. And is there a way they can weasel out of that, right? That's I think where the rubber meets the road.
And I think a lot of this has to do with if we think these private aerospace companies are holding, these materials or recovered materials, right, from non-human intelligence, right, aliens, right? And if they have this and they've patented technology or reverse engineered some stuff off of it, do they actually then have ownership of it? Is this a way to get everyone who has some materials to come out, put it on the record, get it registered, and then we go from there? I think there's a lot of threads that could, you could pull, and it could go many different ways, right? Clearly, it's a conversation one day we're going to have. The issue is going to become, when is that day going to happen? And are we already doing that? Is that a loophole? Is that a way around to get some of these advanced aerospace companies, if they do have crashed UFOs, to get them to release some of this information? I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of lawyers out there who can, manipulate the verbiage of the law to fit whatever agenda that they have. And that's kind of how the law is built. It's a little malleable, it's loose, essentially. It's not black and white. So here's one little quick tidbit here at the end from Dr. Garry Nolan that I found interesting as well, to just sort of tie this conversation in a nice little bow here at the end.
One of the funniest tweets I ever put out that had the most responses from outside of the community was this thing on patents, where immediately all these lawyers from outside the community came in with ways to get around it, of course. One of them is they have no standing. They have no legal standing, and especially around patents is, well, you can't be in violation of a patent if nobody files a lawsuit against you, so I doubt they're going to file a lawsuit in Delaware.
I mean, that's a pretty sound argument, right? They have no standing, right? And I doubt an alien's going to just, swoop in to the county courthouse and, file a lawsuit. So, I mean, that's essentially it. If nobody files a lawsuit against you for doing that, then there's what's going on, right? So I think that's probably the best argument, right? Now, that's if the ET want to come in, but what about human versus human, right? Reverse engineering technology, right? What if you were to reverse engineer something from someone else's alien technology? Do you then own it, right? I think those are the bigger questions that need to be asked. If, an advanced aerospace company reverse engineers alien technology that the government got, right, do they then own those patents, or do they share it with the government? How does that work, right? Can you just take a technology, put your name on it, and then introduce it into the market without actually doing anything? What if it was some simple technology like that? You can just mass produce it, but you're not really changing anything about it, right? I don't know. That's kind of an interesting thing. It's like, who owns radio waves? Who owns Bluetooth? Who owns, Wi-Fi signals? Who owns electricity? You kind of become you can take it and then find a service or a way to get it to people, and then that you own that, or how you implement it into your product or whatever, right? So I don't know. This could be interesting, and is that on the horizon for us and society? I mean, one day it will be, if it's not already coming around the corner. That's what people think, right? So we'll wait and see. If we start to see some laws change and some things happening, maybe that'll give us a good indication that something might be on the horizon. So let me know what you think in the comments. We'll see you guys on the next video. Remember, every day's a gift, y'all. Peace.
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep.